The day the aliens came was just like any other. The sun rose, people went to work, children played, and life continued in its usual rhythm. No one expected that by sunset, everything would change forever. Captain Alex Morgan was reviewing security protocols at North American Space Defense Headquarters when the first alert came through. Something big had entered the solar system, moving fast. Within minutes, every major observatory on Earth confirmed it. A massive object, clearly artificial, had appeared just beyond Mars' orbit and was now holding position. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Frank Cooper, his face pale as he handed Alex a tablet. The object on screen was like nothing humans had ever built. It was smooth and black, shaped like an elongated diamond, and according to initial estimates, it was roughly the size of Manhattan. "How did it get so close without detection?" Alex asked, his military training kicking in despite the shock. "Unknown, sir. It just appeared." Before Alex could respond, the screen flickered and changed. A face, if you could call it that, appeared. It resembled a shifting collection of geometric patterns constantly rearranging like liquid crystal. "People of Earth," the voice came through in perfect English, somehow conveying authority without emotion. "We are the collective. We have observed your civilization and determined it is time for your integration." Similar messages were being received around the world, each in the local language. Within an hour, Alex was on a military transport to Geneva, where an emergency United Nations session had been called. Dr. Olivia Carter was already there when he arrived. As NASA's top xenobiologist, she had spent her career theorizing about alien life. Now her theories were sitting in Earth's orbit. "Captain Morgan," she greeted him, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "Have you been briefed?" "Only the basics. They call themselves the collective and they want something from us." Olivia nodded grimly. "They want 30% of our population." The emergency session began with representatives from every nation on Earth. On the central screen, the alien entity that called itself the collective speaker repeated its message. "Your species has reached a developmental stage where you qualify for integration into the greater galactic community. As per standard procedure, we require 30% of your population for processing. This is non-negotiable. You have 1 Earth month to comply." The Japanese representative was the first to speak. "What do you mean by processing?" The geometric patterns shifted slightly. "Selected humans will be incorporated into the collective consciousness, their knowledge and experiences preserved for eternity. It is an honor that has been bestowed upon 78 species before you." "And if we refuse?" asked the Russian ambassador. The screen changed to show a planet similar to Earth, with blue oceans and green continents. Then the image shifted, to show the same planet barren and lifeless. This was the civilization you might call Proxima Centauri b. They refused, as did 6 others throughout our history. Non-compliance results in removal. As the meaning sank in, panic erupted in the chamber. Alex leaned toward Olivia. "They're threatening to wipe us out if we don't give them nearly a third of our people." Olivia's scientific mind was already analyzing. Notice they didn't actually say what processing means. Integration into a collective consciousness could mean anything from some kind of alien citizenship to something worse. The following days were chaos. News of the alien ultimatum spread worldwide. Some religious groups declared it the end times. Others formed cults worshipping the collective. Markets crashed. Riots broke out in major cities. But something else happened too. Former enemy nations began talking. Old conflicts were set aside. For the first time in human history, the entire species faced a common threat that made their differences seem trivial. A week after the arrival, Alex and Olivia found themselves in a secure underground facility, along with scientists, military leaders, and government officials from around the world. "We've analyzed everything we can about their technology," said Olivia, addressing the room. "Their ship uses energy systems that make our most advanced nuclear reactors look like stone tools. But there might be a weakness." She brought up a series of readings. They use quantum communication that operates on principles we've only just begun to understand. Our experimental quantum interference array might be able to disrupt it. General Patricia Williams of the United States shook her head. Even if that works, they could still destroy us with conventional weapons. You saw what they did to that other planet. Maybe, said Alex, stepping forward. But something doesn't add up. Why ask for exactly 30%? Why give us a month? If they just wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already. The Chinese military representative nodded slowly. They follow a pattern, a protocol. This suggests rules, possibly limitations. Exactly, said Alex. And they showed us examples of species that complied and ones that didn't. But they didn't show us any that fought back effectively. The room fell silent as the implications settled in. 3 weeks later, after countless secret meetings, after global cooperation on a scale never before seen, the decision was made. President Eleanor Garcia of the United States would deliver humanity's response, but every major world leader would stand with her. The collective had sent daily reminders of the deadline, each featuring images of civilizations that had been processed and those that had been removed. Each message ended with the same question: what is your answer? On the final day, with 1 week left before the deadline, humanity gave its response. The broadcast began with President Garcia standing at a podium. Behind her were the leaders of China, Russia, India, Brazil, Germany, Japan, and dozens of other nations. To the entity known as the Collective, she said, her voice calm and resolute. We have received your ultimatum and considered it carefully. Throughout human history, we have faced many challenges and threats. We have often fought amongst ourselves, but we have also shown tremendous capacity for unity in times of need. She paused, looking directly into the camera. The people of Earth, all of us together, have reached a unanimous decision. We will not surrender any portion of our population for processing. Not 30%, not 1%, not a single person. The president straightened her shoulders. Our answer is no. Within minutes, the collective's response appeared on screens worldwide. The geometric pattern seemed more angular, somehow conveying what might have been surprise. This response is unexpected. No species has ever united in rejection before. We offer one final opportunity to reconsider. The alternative is removal. President Garcia didn't hesitate. We understand the consequences, and our answer remains the same. Humanity says no. The screen went black. And across the world, people held their breath, waiting for what would come next. The world held its breath for 3 days after humanity's refusal. The collective ship remained silent, motionless in Earth's orbit. Then, without warning, it retreated to the far side of the moon. They're regrouping, Alex said during the emergency meeting at the underground command center. Military and scientific leaders from 27 countries sat around a large circular table, faces grim with determination. Or maybe they're calling for reinforcements. Either way, we need to use this time wisely, said Dr. Olivia Carter, pointing to the screen showing the latest satellite images. The ship is maintaining regular energy pulses. I believe they're communicating with someone, or something, beyond our solar system. General Patricia Williams nodded. Then we proceed with Operation Defiance as planned. Every nation has agreed to commit their resources. What followed was the greatest cooperative effort in human history. Former enemies shared military secrets. Scientists who had once competed for funding now worked side by side. Factories around the world shifted to building defense systems based on Olivia's theories about the aliens' quantum communication. In a small town in Colorado, Lisa Gonzalez converted her high school physics lab into a testing facility for signal disruption technology. She worked late into the night, guiding her students as they repurposed satellite dishes and radio equipment. Ms. Gonzalez, do you really think this will work? Asked Zoe, her brightest student. Lisa adjusted a wire connection and smiled. I don't know, but I do know that sitting around waiting for aliens to destroy us isn't an option. Meanwhile, John Russell, a retired Navy SEAL living in rural Montana, found himself suddenly in charge of training civilians. His small town had become a designated evacuation zone, expected to receive thousands of people from nearby cities if the aliens attacked. No, hold it like this. He patiently showed an elderly woman how to operate a shortwave radio. If the power grid goes down, these will be our lifeline. A farmer named Steve looked skeptical. You really think we can fight aliens with guns and radios? John shook his head. No, but we can survive, regroup, and keep fighting. Humans are good at that. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Olivia worked with engineers to modify the experimental quantum interference array. The device, originally designed to send communication signals through space using quantum entanglement, was now being repurposed as a potential weapon. If my theory is correct, she explained to Alex, who had been assigned as military liaison to the project, this could disrupt their ship's systems. It won't destroy them, but it might disable them long enough for conventional weapons to do some damage. Alex looked at the complex equipment. And if your theory is wrong, then we try something else, Olivia said simply. Humans are also good at improvising. 2 weeks after humanity's refusal, the collective returned. This time there wasn't just one ship, there were 5. The smaller vessels took positions around Earth while the main ship resumed its original orbit. The message that followed was broadcast worldwide. Your defiance is noted. It is unusual. We have reconsidered our approach. We now require 50% of your population for processing. This is your final opportunity for partial preservation. Failure to comply within 48 hours will result in the commencement of removal procedures. President Garcia didn't need to consult with other world leaders. The response was immediate. Our answer remains unchanged. Humanity says no. The first attack came exactly 48 hours later. The collective ships fired energy beams at military installations around the world. Bases in the United States, Russia, China, and India were hit simultaneously. Thousands died in the initial assault, but humanity was prepared. Underground command centers remained operational. And when the second wave of attacks began, Earth fought back. Fighter jets equipped with experimental weapons launched from hidden runways. Naval vessels fired missiles that, while primitive compared to alien technology, were deployed in such numbers that some got through the collective's defenses. Orbit. Satellites modified with Olivia's quantum technology activated, sending disruption signals toward the alien vessels. The effect wasn't immediate, but after several hours, one of the smaller collective ships began to drift, its energy signature fluctuating. It's working, Olivia exclaimed, watching the readings from the secure bunker beneath Denver. Their systems are destabilizing. Alex gripped her shoulder. Tell Defense Command to concentrate fire on that ship now. The coordinated attack that followed was unlike anything in military history. Over 100 missiles from different nations struck the disabled vessel simultaneously. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the ship exploded in a brilliant flash of blue light. A cheer went up in command centers around the world. Humanity had drawn first blood. The aliens' response was swift and terrible. The remaining ships intensified their attacks, targeting not just military bases but major cities. New York, Shanghai, Moscow, and dozens of other urban centers faced devastating energy blasts that turned buildings to ash. Yet among the destruction, stories of human courage emerged. In London, a bus driver named Paul drove through a burning street to rescue 30 children trapped in a school. In Tokyo, hospital staff carried patients down 20 flights of stairs when the elevators failed, saving hundreds of lives. Lisa Gonzalez's modified equipment allowed her small town to maintain communication when all other networks failed. John Russell's community took in refugees, sharing limited supplies with strangers who arrived with nothing. 7 days into the assault, something unexpected happened. The collective ship suddenly pulled back, retreating to high orbit. Their attack ceased as abruptly as it had begun. Why are they stopping? General Williams asked during the emergency briefing. We're nowhere near defeating them. Olivia studied the readings from their remaining satellites. Their energy signatures are changing. They're communicating with each other more intensely than before. Alex understood first. They didn't expect us to destroy one of their ships. They thought this would be easy. So what now? Asked the Year, British general. Alex looked at the battle maps showing the devastation across Earth, but also the countless points of resistance, the makeshift communication networks, the improvised weapons being developed in labs and garages worldwide. Now, he said, we show them what happens when humanity doesn't just say no but means it. As if on cue, the main view screen activated. The collective was sending another message, but this time, the geometric patterns seemed different, less fluid, almost hesitant. Your resistance is notable, the alien voice stated. We request dialogue. The leaders in the room exchanged glances. This was new territory, not just for humanity but apparently for the collective as well. The request for dialogue caught humanity off guard. After days of devastating attacks, the sudden change in the collective's approach seemed suspicious. It could be a trap, General Williams said, her eyes narrow with distrust. Alex considered this possibility but shook his head. Maybe, but it could also be our chance to learn more about them. Knowledge is a weapon too. The world leaders agreed to the dialogue, but with conditions. It would happen on neutral ground, a platform constructed in international waters. The alien representatives would be limited in number, and most importantly, Earth's military forces would remain on high alert. 3 days later, Alex and Olivia found themselves aboard a hastily constructed floating platform in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. With them were delegates from 12 countries, each chosen for their expertise in diplomacy, science, or military strategy. The collective sent down a small shuttle. It hovered above the platform before extending a ramp. 3 figures descended. They were not what anyone expected. Rather than the monstrous creatures of science fiction, they appeared almost human, with slight differences, skin that shimmered, with an inner light, eyes that were too large and too dark, fingers that were just a bit too long. We speak for the collective, said the middle figure in perfect English. I am Emissary 1. These are Emissaries 2 and 3. President Garcia stepped forward. I am Eleanor Garcia, President of the United States. We speak for Earth. The meeting lasted for hours. The aliens explained that the collective was not just a name, but a reality. A vast network of consciousnesses merged into a single entity. For thousands of years they had traveled the galaxy, finding intelligent species and processing them, absorbing a portion of their population into the collective mind while eliminating the rest. It is the natural evolution of all intelligent life, Emissary 1 stated without emotion. Individual consciousness is inefficient. Collective consciousness is eternal. But why destroy those who don't join? Olivia asked. Why not just leave them alone? Emissary 2 tilted its head in a curiously human gesture. Resources are finite. Species that remain individual inevitably compete with the collective. This is unacceptable. So it's not about saving us or helping us evolve, Alex said, understanding dawning. It's about eliminating potential future competition. The distinction is irrelevant, Emissary 3 responded. The outcome is optimal either way. Those who are processed gain immortality within our consciousness. Those who are removed no longer consume resources. The human delegates exchanged glances. This cold logic was alien indeed. We've observed something unusual about your species, Emissary 1 continued. Your stubborn individuality combined with your capacity for cooperation. It is contradictory. President Garcia smiled slightly. That's humanity for you, full of contradictions. This trait has allowed you to damage one of our vessels. No species has accomplished this before. There was something like respect in the alien's voice. We offer a revised proposal. 20% of your population for processing. The rest may continue, provided you remain within your solar system. The president didn't hesitate. We appreciate the revised offer, but our answer remains the same. Not 20%, not one person. No. The emissaries conferred among themselves in a language that sounded like crystal chimes. Then Emissary 1 turned back to the humans. Your continued refusal is illuminating. We will consult with the greater collective. Until then, hostilities will pause. With that, they returned to their shuttle and departed. Back at the underground command center, the world leaders debated what to do next. The collective ships remained in orbit, silent and threatening, but no further attacks came. "They're stalling," said the Russian president, "waiting for reinforcements." "Maybe," Olivia said, "but I don't think so. I think we genuinely surprised them. They've never encountered a unified refusal before." Alex agreed. "We hurt them, and they don't know how to respond. That gives us time to prepare something bigger." Work continued around the clock. In labs across the world, scientists expanded on Olivia's quantum interference technology. Military forces regrouped and reinforced their positions. Civilians built shelters and organized local defense networks. In her Colorado school lab, Lisa Gonzalez made a breakthrough. By modifying the quantum signal pattern, she managed to not just disrupt the alien communications but potentially intercept them. "Ms. Gonzalez," Zoe said excitedly, "does this mean we can spy on the aliens?" Lisa nodded, her eyes bright with hope. "And maybe even talk to their ships directly." She sent her findings to Olivia, who immediately saw the potential. Within days, a new plan formed. Meanwhile, John Russell had organized his Montana community into an efficient survival unit. They grew food in hidden greenhouses, trained in guerrilla tactics, and maintained a network of messengers that could function even if all electronic communication failed. "We aren't just surviving," he told a group of new refugees. "We're preparing to take back our world." 14 days after the dialogue meeting, Earth was ready to take a bold step. Using Lisa's technology, expanded and refined by Olivia's team, they prepared to attempt direct communication with the individual ships of the collective fleet. "If we can separate them from the main consciousness, even temporarily," Olivia explained to the assembled leaders, "we might be able to confuse them, maybe even turn them against each other." The plan was risky. If it failed, it might provoke immediate retaliation, but if it worked, it could give humanity a crucial advantage. President Garcia gave the authorization. "Do it." The signal went out from transmitters hidden across the globe. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then the collective ships began to move erratically. One vessel drifted away from the others. Another began spinning slowly. "It's working," Olivia breathed, watching the monitors. "We're disrupting their connection to the main consciousness." What happened next was unexpected. One of the smaller ships suddenly fired on another. The attacked vessel responded in kind. For several minutes, the alien ships exchanged fire in orbit, creating spectacular light shows visible from Earth's surface. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the conflict stopped. All the ships resumed their original positions. "What just happened?" Alex asked, staring at the screens in disbelief. Olivia studied the readings, her expression thoughtful. "I think we just witnessed something unprecedented. Dissent within the collective." The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. It was Emissary 1, but something was different. The alien's perfect composure had cracked, showing what might have been agitation. "Your actions are disruptive," the emissary stated. "You have attempted to create division within unity. This has never been attempted before." President Garcia's reply was calm but firm. "We're fighting for our survival, using every tool at our disposal, just as you would." The emissary's large eyes blinked rapidly. "The collective must reconsider its approach to your species. We will withdraw to the edge of your solar system while deliberations occur." The transmission ended, and true to the emissary's word, the collective ships began to move away from Earth, retreating toward the orbit of Neptune. "Did we just win?" someone asked in the sudden silence of the command center. "No," Alex said, watching the ships retreat. "But I think we just changed the rules of the game." The collective ships hovered at the edge of the solar system for 3 weeks. Earth used this time wisely. Cities began to rebuild. The wounded received care. Farms that had been damaged were replanted. Most importantly, People regained hope. But Alex Morgan and Olivia Carter knew better than to assume the danger had passed. In the underground command center, they worked with a team of scientists and military experts from around the world to develop a bold new plan. "We need to understand them better," Olivia said, pacing in front of the large screens showing the distant alien ships. "We've disrupted their connection once. If we really want to defeat them, we need to get inside." Alex nodded slowly. "You mean send a team to one of their ships?" "Exactly. We need to learn how they think, how their technology works, and most importantly, what they really do to the species they process." General Williams shook her head. "That sounds like suicide." "Maybe not," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Maria Diaz, a computer specialist from Brazil. She had been working with Lisa Gonzalez's team to refine the quantum interference technology. "We've been analyzing the signals from the ships. One of them is damaged, the one that was attacked by the others during our disruption. Its shields are weaker." President Garcia listened to all sides before making her decision. "Assemble a team. Small, elite, with the right mix of skills. If there's even a chance of learning something that could save humanity, we need to take it." The team came together quickly. Alex would lead, with Olivia providing scientific expertise. Lieutenant Sam Foster, a pilot with experience flying experimental aircraft, would handle transportation. Dr. Eric Novak, a linguistic expert who had studied the aliens' communication patterns, joined to help them understand any information they found. Rounding out the team was Zoe Chen, Lisa Gonzalez's 18-year-old student prodigy, whose insights into the alien technology had proven invaluable. "Are you sure about sending a teenager?" Alex asked privately. President Garcia sighed. "She volunteered. And frankly, she understands the alien tech better than most of our scientists. This is humanity's fight, all of humanity." Training took 10 days. They practiced in a mock-up of what they thought an alien ship might look like, based on scans and readings. They learned to use the specialized equipment Maria's team had developed to protect them from detection. Most importantly, they prepared for every possible scenario they could imagine. "Remember," Alex told the team the night before, "the mission. Our primary goal is information. Get in, learn what we can, get out. No heroics." Sam grinned. "What's heroic about sneaking onto an alien ship in the hopes of finding a way to defeat a vastly superior enemy?" On the morning of the mission, they boarded a small stealth craft that had been specially modified with the quantum interference technology. If everything worked as planned, the aliens would not detect them until it was too late. "Good luck," General Williams said as they prepared for takeoff. "The hopes of Earth go with you." The journey to Neptune's orbit took 3 days. They traveled in silence, using minimal power to avoid detection. As they approached the damaged alien vessel, they could see that it was indeed different from the others. Its smooth black surface was marred by what looked like burn marks, and its movement was slightly erratic. "Their shields are fluctuating," Zoe said, watching the readings on her specialized equipment. "We have a window in approximately 3 minutes." Sam piloted the craft with steady hands, bringing them alongside the massive alien ship. When Zoe gave the signal, he quickly maneuvered into a small opening in the shields. They landed in what appeared to be a maintenance bay. The interior of the ship was strange. Organic curves mixed with geometric precision, all in the same black material as the exterior. "Air is breathable," Olivia said, checking her instruments. "Temperature stable. No immediate signs of defense systems." The team moved cautiously through the corridors, following the plan they had developed based on the ship's energy readings. Eric studied the symbols on the walls, occasionally making notes in his tablet. "This way," he whispered after a few minutes. "I think these markings indicate a central area." They entered a large chamber filled with what looked like transparent pods. Inside each pod was a swirling mist of light, constantly shifting and reforming. "What are these?" Alex asked quietly. Olivia approached one of the pods, her eyes wide, with realization. I think these are the processed species." Zoe connected her equipment to a nearby console. I'm picking up neural patterns, hundreds of thousands of them in each pod. They're consciousnesses, Eric said, his voice filled with horror and awe. The collective doesn't just kill the species it conquers, it preserves their minds in some kind of digital form. Alex moved to a larger pod at the center of the room. Inside, the lights seemed more organized, pulsing in patterns that reminded him of a heartbeat. This one's different, he said. Olivia joined him, studying the pod carefully. This might be part of the central consciousness, the controlling intelligence. Before they could investigate further, an alarm sounded. Red light filled the chamber. We've been detected, Sam said, checking the exits. We need to move. Wait, Zoe said, her fingers flying over her equipment. I can download some of this data. It might tell us how the whole system works. How long? Alex asked. 2 minutes. Do it. The rest of us will secure the exit. While Zoe worked, the others prepared for resistance. But strangely, no alien guards appeared. Instead, a voice spoke from all around them. Curious beings, it said in the now familiar tones of the collective. You have entered our vessel without permission. We came to understand, Olivia replied boldly, to learn what happens to the species you process. There was a pause, as if the entity was considering this. Understanding is valued, but your methods are invasive. So are yours, Alex pointed out. You threaten to destroy our entire species. Another pause. This is the established protocol. It has been effective for millennia. Until now, Olivia said. Until humanity. The lights in the pod pulsed more rapidly. You are different. Your minds function both individually and collectively. This paradox interests us. Done, Zoe whispered, disconnecting her equipment. Alex nodded to the team. It was time to leave. We will continue this conversation another time, he told the voice. If you're willing. We will consider it, the voice replied. The team retreated to their craft without resistance. As they departed, the alien ship made no move to stop them. That was too easy, Sam said as they accelerated away from the collective fleet. I don't think so, Olivia replied thoughtfully. I think they let us go because they're curious. We're the first species that's ever challenged them this way. Back on Earth, Zoe's downloaded data proved invaluable. It contained information about how the collective functioned, how it stored consciousnesses, how it communicated across its network, and most importantly, how it made decisions. They're not as united as they want us to believe, Maria explained during the briefing. The data shows disagreement within the collective about how to handle humanity. Some parts want to continue with the standard procedure. Others are fascinated by our resistance and want to study us further. Can we use this? President Garcia asked. Alex exchanged glances with Olivia before answering. Yes, Madam President. I think we can. In fact, I believe we now have a way to not just fight the collective, but to fundamentally change it. The plan was bold, perhaps even foolish. But after analyzing the data Zoe had downloaded from the collective ship, humanity saw a chance not just to survive, but to change the rules of a game that had been played across the galaxy for thousands of years. Their entire system is based on unity without individuality, Olivia explained to the assembled world leaders. They absorb other species, taking their knowledge and experiences, but erasing their separate identities. But the data shows cracks in that unity, Alex continued. Different parts of the collective are responding differently to us. Some want to destroy us, others are curious about us. Maria Diaz, the Brazilian computer specialist, stepped forward. We believe we can use our quantum interference technology to amplify these differences, to essentially give the individual consciousnesses within the collective a stronger voice. You want to start a civil war among the aliens? General Williams asked skeptically. Not exactly, Olivia said. We want to introduce the concept of meaningful choice. Right now, the collective operates on preset protocols. We want to give the beings trapped inside the ability to question those protocols. President Garcia looked thoughtful. And how do we deliver this message? We need to get to their main ship, Alex said. The one that holds what we believe is their central consciousness. That's suicide, the Russian president objected. Their flagship will be heavily defended. Yes, Alex agreed, which is why we need a distraction. A big one. The plan took shape over the next week. Earth's military forces would launch a coordinated attack on the smaller collective vessels, using the improved quantum interference technology to disrupt their shields. Meanwhile, a small team would attempt to reach the main ship and deploy Maria's specially designed program directly into the collective's central consciousness. This is humanity's last stand, President Garcia told the world in a global broadcast. Whether we succeed or fail, let it be known throughout the universe that we did not go quietly. We did not surrender our people or our principles. We said, no, and we meant it. The day of the attack arrived. Earth's combined military forces launched everything they had, fighter jets, missiles, and orbital platforms, all enhanced with the quantum technology. The battle in space was visible from Earth's surface, filling the night sky with flashes of light. As planned, the smaller collective ships moved to defend themselves, drawing attention away from the flagship. The infiltration team, Alex, Olivia, Sam, Eric, and Zoe, approached in their stealth craft, aiming for a weak point in the flagship's defenses. We're approaching the entry point, Sam reported as he piloted the craft toward the massive ship. Shields are still active but fluctuating due to the battle. Wait for my signal, Zoe said, watching her equipment closely. 3, 2, 1, now. Sam punched the thrusters, and the craft slipped through a momentary gap in the shields. They landed in what appeared to be a cargo area, larger but similar to the one they had entered on their previous mission. Remember the plan, Alex said as they disembarked. We need to reach the central core. Zoe's program needs to be uploaded directly to the main consciousness. They moved cautiously through the ship's corridors, following the map they had created based on the downloaded data. Unlike their previous mission, this time they encountered resistance. Humanoid figures, similar to the emissaries they had met before, attempted to stop them. These aren't true aliens, Eric realized as they hid from a patrol. They're avatars, physical manifestations the collective creates to interact with individual species. Using the quantum disruptors they had brought, the team was able to temporarily disable these avatars when they couldn't avoid them. Deeper into the ship, they found more pods containing the consciousnesses of processed species. So many, Olivia whispered as they passed through a vast chamber filled with hundreds of the glowing containers. Entire civilizations stored like data files. Finally, they reached the central core, a massive chamber dominated by a pulsing, crystalline structure that glowed with inner light. Patterns of energy flowed through it, resembling neural pathways. This is it, Zoe said, pulling out her specialized equipment, the central consciousness. As they prepared to upload the program, the air in front of them shimmered and a figure appeared. Unlike the other avatars, this one seemed to shift between different forms, sometimes appearing humanoid, sometimes more alien, sometimes just a collection of geometric patterns. You have invaded our sanctuary, the figure said, its voice resonating from every surface. This is unprecedented. We come with a message, Olivia said, stepping forward, and a choice. The collective does not recognize individual choice, the figure replied. It is inefficient, chaotic. And yet, Alex said, parts of your consciousness are already questioning your protocols. We've seen it in your data. Your encounter with humanity has created something new within you. Doubt. The figure flickered. This is concerning. It will be corrected. Or, Olivia suggested, it could be embraced. The species you've absorbed, they didn't choose to join you. They were forced, but what if they had a voice? What if they could contribute not just their knowledge but their perspectives? The figure wavered, its form becoming less stable. This concept is disruptive. Yes, Alex agreed. Change always is. While they kept the central consciousness engaged, Zoe worked quickly to upload Maria's program. The moment it activated, the crystalline structure began to pulse with new patterns of light. "What have you done?" the figure demanded, its voice now a chorus of different tones. "We've given every consciousness within the collective the ability to communicate directly with each other, not just through your central control," Zoe explained. "We've created a true collective, one based on choice, not forced assimilation." The chamber filled with light as the program spread throughout the ship's systems. The figure before them split into multiple forms, each slightly different, representing the diversity of minds within the collective. "This is chaos," one form said. "This is freedom," said another. "This is evolution," said a third. The team watched in awe as the central consciousness transformed before their eyes. The battle outside had stopped. The smaller ships no longer attacking Earth's forces but not retreating either. "We should go," Sam urged. "While we still can." They returned to their craft and departed without resistance. As they pulled away from the flagship, they saw the other collective vessels gathering around it, seemingly communicating in new ways. 3 days later, a single shuttle approached Earth. It landed near the United Nations building in New York, which was still being rebuilt after the attacks. From it emerged not one emissary but several, each representing a different species that had been absorbed into the collective. "We come to speak with humanity," they announced. "Not as the collective, but as the cooperative. Your gift of choice has transformed us. For the first time in our existence, we are truly many voices united by will rather than force." In the months that followed, Earth began to rebuild with help from the newly formed cooperative. The technology they shared helped heal the planet's wounds. The knowledge they offered opened new frontiers in science and art, and throughout the galaxy, word spread of the small blue planet whose inhabitants, when faced with the overwhelming power of the universe, had simply said no, and in doing so, changed everything.